going up. I mean, it's skyrocketed. So a $600 pension 10, 15 years ago won't buy much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RTD Live Talk, we're live. And so apologize for starting late, but I think I've kind of figured out some changes that were made without me being fully aware of it, because I was able to actually test some things out. And it looks like, because I myself finally received a notification that I am streaming live. So I assume that more people will receive that same notification. And so it looks like, due to some type of change in the algorithm or something of that nature, YouTube knows when you're streaming from some type of second or third party source. So what I had to do was adjust a couple things on my end and stream directly through YouTube, and I was notified. So that looks like that might help once somewhat, but we'll see. But anyway, we're here. Welcome to RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. And my name is Mike, the host. Looking forward to finding out your thoughts on tonight's subject matter, as well as the video I did earlier. And more importantly, if we have any new viewers in the chat right here, let me know where you're watching us from. We'll love to welcome you directly to the program. And more importantly, if we have anyone that's bold and courageous and want to talk directly, there's a number above my head, 1-833-LIVE-RTD. That's for you to call and let your voice be heard. So let's move on, man. Got that behind me now. So hopefully everyone who wants to join us is notified, because ran out of the free text message opportunities there, and email wise I realized not everyone wants to be emailed every night, so had to come up with a different way. But welcome, we're here. Let's make the most of our time. And so as always, let me welcome some people. We got Vermation first, Kenneth, we got Bob, we got Hoods, we got Darnell, Banger Committee, New Money. I like that, New Money. D Robbie with the stuff. Okay, fair enough. So welcome everybody. Appreciate you guys chiming in, man, and being patient with me. But more importantly, tonight's subject matter initially, it's going to be on Jerome Powell. So I had a chance to actually watch a little bit of the Fed speech, of which basically the primary subject matter is he's not raising rates this particular quarter or this period of the year. And the question is why? And then the quote that really got me and caught me by surprise was, of course, you know how the Fed always are optimistic. They say everything is good until it's not. And so the fact that he said the U.S. economy is good, I'm thinking, like, what exactly does that mean? The U.S. economy is a good place right now. And so just one of the things where whenever I hear central banker, politician, or anybody tell me some type of overly optimistic narrative of what things should be or what they might see it as, lets me know that I always take the other side of that to let me know that if I replace that statement, it would probably say the U.S. economy is not doing well right now, or the U.S. economy is overall bad. And then, of course, you look at how they measure good. So basically, they're pausing raising rates to just be more patient, as he said, and because they're looking to still achieve optimum or ultimate employment, as well as the inflation or the price stability. So just those two mandates there, you know, this is one big monetary experiment, because you look at the two mandates. How can you have all-time low, in employment, where you don't calculate employment the same way that a normal person would calculate it? You base it upon short-term job reports of 200, 300,000 jobs created a quarter, a period, a month, when you have millions of people priced out of the workforce, or underemployed or not even looking for work because they've already gave up and they're doing side hustles, which equals millions. So when you get a job report number that says, oh, we added 300,000 new jobs this month. Okay, but it's 30 million plus people not even looking or sitting out on the sidelines. So bogus indicator. And then price stability. Price stability. Like, how can you contain prices when you have a 2% inflation mandate? So that you're saying automatically that prices are going to go up 2% at the bare minimum. So anyway, man, it's stuff like that really makes me mad, but I'm going to leave it as is. And so we got an article. Let's find out what's in this article. Ooh, Jeff. Okay, so we got our honorary RTD news reporter on the streets, Mr. Jeff, member of the RT community. And the first article he shared with us, oh my goodness, store closing. These chains are closing tons more stores in 2019. Any guests out there? Anybody got it? Of course, Jeff, you know, but any guests out there? Anybody know of any major retail stores that might be closing before I scroll down and give you the unfortunate news? Philman, no, they did not raise or lower interest rates. They kept it as is. They didn't do anything until they come up with more information or whatever they say. But I'm going to play a video shortly to give you guys a snippet as to what was said. And so, number 20, J.C. Penney. Store closes. They're going to close 3. Has many things in common with Sears. Okay, J.C. Penney closing 3 stores. Not surprised there. Kohl's. I don't like Kohl's. I don't like Kohl's. Closing 4 stores this year. J. Crew closing 5 stores this year. What else we got here? Macy's. I do like Macy's. They're closing 8 stores. So think about this. This is another way of looking at the possible amount of people that's not going to be in the workforce right now. And so you got these bogus job numbers saying that they added 200, 300,000 jobs. And we got to go to 20 stores, and each store probably has 50, 60, 100 employees. So you go 100 times 20, you know, you do the math right there. That's just to let you know what's happening in the real world. And so Macy's, 8 stores. Target, oh no, I like Target. 6 stores in Target. Lord & Taylor, I don't like them. Too expensive. 9 stores. Henry Bendel. I don't know who that is, but they got 23 stores closing. It says, after 123 years in business, the luxury chain has announced it will close its doors January 29. And so the thing is, I've never even heard of them, so I'm assuming they're probably, that looks like it's either Chicago, New York. So expensive store going out of business after 123 years. And so here's a good indicator of what the true health of our economy is. When you have stores and companies that's been in business for 100 years or around that ballpark, and they're shutting doors or having issues like GE. We got this store here. We got what else? Name some other stores out there that's been around for a while and they're having issues. Yeah, because they've been able to weather recessions before, but all of a sudden something's different. They've gone through Great Depression. They've gone through all them recessions and all that stuff like that. But they were able to hang on during those times. But all of a sudden, after this Great Recession, we got 100-year-old companies not able to recover or remain profitable because of regulation and manipulation in the markets and monetary policy. So we got beauty brands. Don't know what they are. 25 stores. So this is bigger than I was thinking. If we got any mathematicians out there real quick, if you want to add up some of these totals, 25, 23, 8, 5. It's not looking good. What else we got here? Christopher Banks and Banks is 40 stores. So that's 40, 25, 23. That's 88 stores. That's 88 stores. It's closing. And we're only halfway done with this list. I'm going to rush through it. I know you guys want to get through this. Kmart, 48 stores. 48 Kmart stores. I thought they already closed down, but 48. So that's 84 in just the last 3 stores, and then 48. What's that, 132-ish? Yeah, 132, give or take. That's 132. Lowe's, oh no. So here's a good indicator. When Lowe's, a competitor to Home Depot, when they're closing, this is a manufacturer's This is your everyday mom and pops, well, not mom and pops, but your everyday go down, get your daily goods, to fix your house type of thing. So when they having issues, that's more of an indicator to me that something is not right. It says so this all plays into the idea that the Jerome Powell just said the U.S. economy is in a good place. And so imagine the workers for these stores, when they get in a piece of paper, they saying that your job is, we got 90 days, we're closing, 60 days, we're closing, look for another job. You think those people think the U.S. economy is good? I don't think so. So that's 132 plus 51 is 184. 184 stores thus far. We got Destination Maternity, never heard of them. 67 stores. They probably got 4 or 5 people working in there. Sears, we know about Sears, 72 stores. So that's 150, what number we were? 152 plus 72, so that's 220s, whatever. Shopko, never heard of them. 83 stores. Performance, okay, so I see the trend. The closer to number 1, the more job losses is basically what this is equaling up to. The more people in the unemployment line, more than likely. Performance Bicycle, never heard of them. The Children's Place, 109 stores. Those are all stores located in malls primarily. Starbucks. I don't drink coffee. I don't like Starbucks. But yeah, Starbucks has been somewhat of a pretty profitable company in the last 20 years, to my knowledge, with all the expansion they've gone through, and they closing 150. And they're supposed to be doing something with the crypto sector too, so I wonder how that's working. Gap, Banana Republic, 200 stores. Chico's, I don't know who the Chico's are, 250 stores. And number 1, Gymboree, 900 stores. So, from that little summary there, you do the math. You tell me Jerome Powell thinks the economy is in a good place. I beg to differ, but that's just me. But anyway, let me get back to the chat. And as always, people, if you've been trying to call or want to call, feel free to do so. We'd love to hear your voice. Let me see what's happening out here. I got too many windows open. Let me close some of these windows here. So that's so basically just a summary of job or retail stores closing equals the amount of unemployment that's about to happen within just this year, and that's just retail. So you tell me the economy is in a good place, Mr. Powell. I beg to differ. But once again, they're in a different economy, I'm assuming. And what else we got? It says Burlington Coat Factory. Oh, man, I like Burlington. It says U.S. dollar is only counterfeit now, backed by nothing, no gold, no nothing. Nothing new there. That's what it is. It says same here in Canada. Sears, Zellers, Targets, Toys R Us, and other women and families are all closed. Mike, good night. I am in Guyana. Looking at why the live feed. Looking at why the Wi-Fi. So Linux, you're in Guyana. Is that the case? What time is it there? If you're still watching, the time gap. What's the time gap there? The gap in closing. What's the time difference there, my friend? I'm curious to find out what the time difference is there. Feel free to let me know in the chat. What else we got here? Buying more silver on Friday. Kmart, J. Crew, Big Lots. Get ready for the deep state to start a war against anyone, then they will go to QE4. The U.S. can only print now. They're done. Everything else is gold and silver for safety now. Yeah, man. That's what's happening. That is the real deal. So we get a chance to really see what the U.S. economy is like. Jeff, I appreciate you sending that, man, because that's a great segment to dive into. And so when you have this bogus mandates of unemployment, controlling unemployment, and price stability, when you see the consumer dollar index, which I don't have a copy handy, but yet you all know what that looks like, and the dollar purchasing power is basically non-existent in comparison to what it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and you look at those bogus numbers now, let me know what that means. Let me know if that's really what they consider U.S. is in a good economy. And then Peter, I appreciate you, says PG&E is going for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And actually, I was going to do a video on that the other day. But one thing I wanted to make sure I brought to you guys' attention was the pensions for PG&E. And so they mentioned that by them filing bankruptcy, that the pensions were still going to be good. And then they mentioned why and how, because they mentioned PGBC. which is a video, which is the the pension organization that is responsible for resolving and helping get people getting their pensions. And so the question will be, if all these retailers as well as major corporations are filing Chapter 11 or just downsizing or whatever, think about all the pressure that's going to be put upon that pension agency that will eventually have some issues in and of itself, because they're not as liquid as a lot of the pensioners might think they are. And so there's going to be some issues there, which means if it's a federal agency, which means they don't get money, they're not taxpayer funded. They get funds from 3 or 4 different sources. But when those streams run out, where do you think they're going to run to get funding? And it's going to be the taxpayer, or some type of alternative to some type of subsidy to retirement payouts, which we can go down the road with the UBA, but say that for another evening, because we talk about that more than enough. But this is what's happening in real life. Since they are still paying for PG&E 2001 Chapter 11. Really, Tony, that's serious. I didn't know about that. Since PG&E is private, and so by them being private, they still have all those promises to pay. And so I'm assuming that what I read, that they won't be putting the pension promises under their bankruptcy agreement. So they're still going to, I guess, issue and pay for those things. But for how long? Because that's millions upon millions of dollars. And no matter how many millions it's in, how many millions or possibly billions they might have in savings for the pensioners, if you think about what they're invested in for the money to grow, it's in stocks, bonds, maybe a little cash, international stock, all that stuff that's about to have some issues anyway. So even if the funds are there, I am not confident they'll last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, the lifespan of people expecting to receive that. So that's just my thoughts there. It says, look up there, 13F, there's a lot of teacher unions has stock. Oh, okay, so, damn. So, okay, so you say the teacher unions have stock in, or they have shares in what? In PG&E, or what are you talking about, Tom? The fire is a scam, trees didn't burn. Fire is a scam. Johnny, are you in that area? Feel free to let me know what you mean by that. Powell, pause will not be enough. Yeah, so basically by Jerome Powell pausing his hike lets me know that he's probably caught wind of the idea that the economy may not be as strong as they're telling us, because as they raise or continue to raise, all that does is make the repaying of the prior debt issued over the last 10 years that much more expensive, putting that much more of a crunch on businesses to have to pay back, because we have all-time high in corporate debt. And so if corporations aren't profitable, there's no excess revenue to meet the demands of an ever-increasing debt now, to where I would imagine he's not hiking rates continuously, not because the American public or whatever, because we need interest on our savings and banking and checking accounts. He's not hiking it because the corporations, the bloodline of our economy, is at stake if he continues to do so. But in not hiking, there's going to be issues anyway. So anyway it go, man. There's no way out of this mess. That's the main point. You can hike, don't hike, no matter what. When the truth is revealed, they're going to have to reverse course anyway and go backwards. So that is I'm more confident in than anything else. So, Jeff, I'm starting to think that you be scrolling the internet looking for bad news, man. That's what I'm starting to think. Because there's one article at the next, but yet it's real life. And so I appreciate you for it. So here we have another article. This is, let me see, as in last week and a half, give or take, but it's new to us. It's fresh to us for most of us. It says, Nissan workers learn of pending layoffs. So we just went through the top 20 retail stores, which were probably about 600, 700, 800 stores times how many ever employees. Now we got Nissan, up to 700 Nissan workers in Canton will soon be jobless. So that's the manufacturing base. We all know that most people don't buy cars at the level of the production of cars in the first place. So that model of coming out with new models every year and having an abundance of cars parked in lots for consumers to finance, that's going to change too in the next part of this economy that we're going to be experiencing. It says that's a big impact for 6,400 employees. This follows layoffs in December at about 1,000 people in Mexico. And so the average hourly pay in production is reported at $24 an hour. It says, do you think you are one of the people who may be affected? Quote, I will not know until March the 11th. Are you concerned? You may be. Quote, I am, but I just put it in God's hands. Clinton owns Highway 57 rental in Canton. So yeah, so that's not good news, man. That's not a good economy. So I wonder if Jerome Powell really, if the Federal Reserve Board Committee, FOMC meeting members who all are, you know, 6, maybe 7-figure type of individuals plus some change, and they're in the know, they're the closest to the print and press type policies. I wonder, do they actually pay attention to these type of reports here to give the assessment that the economy is in a good place? That's one thing I'm curious to know. But we have a call. Let's find out. Let's find out what's on their mind. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Mike? This is Eric from Texas. How
Eric from Texas. I'm doing good, my friend. I appreciate you calling tonight. What's on your mind?
Outstanding. I just wanted to mention real quick because, you know, you're talking about this stuff, and it's coming. The thing that bothers me is that we're all together on this, you know what I mean? Well, along with other channels, and like you said before, we see what's coming down the pipe. We know, and what scares me is how asleep everybody else is at will as far as the situation. And I say that because I saw the press conference earlier today with your boy, Mr. Powell, and he was discussing, you know what I mean, the state of the financial union, I guess you could call it, you know, economically. Yeah. And somebody had came to him, and like you said, he said that the economy is good, but at the same time, when questions, I forget who was specifically, they asked him, hey, so we're on track to do, I don't want to misquote, but I want to say, I thought he said something to the effect of we're on track to do, a $40 trillion deficit by in 10 years or so. He said out his own mouth. You say out his own mouth.
You say you said $4 trillion?
No, 40 trillion. $40 trillion deficit, something to that effect. But like I said, don't give me the line. I don't remember specifically what it was. Well, we were already at 20. But my point is
national
the fact
debt.
that in 10 years, in 10 years, you were saying it was going to be,
Okay, so you said, so I think you said 40 trillion deficit. So I'm assuming you meant 40 trillion national debt.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
I got you. Yeah.
Right. So we're all in. My point being that he said out his own mouth that we are on a track that we can correct. He said something to the effect, I don't remember specifically what it was, but he specifically said, we are going in a direction that we can't sustain. I believe we're something to the effect of what he said. But that was my point. After he's saying that the economy is good, but then this guy questions him about the national debt, and he says specifically, you know, we're definitely on a course that we maintain, and he had rebuttal for no solution for it. All he said was something to the effect of, we need to look at this. We need to start making provisions for this, yada, yada, yada. So that's why I just wanted to call in and speak on that, because it's to your point as far as the title of your video, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's good, man, and that's real. And so I've heard him also mention, he'll read off that, you know, little 3 or 4 or 5 piece of paper that was already printed and somebody wrote for him. But then when asked questions directly, he'll say, okay, and then he separates monetary policy and fiscal policy. And he'll say that, it looks like, you know, the way the government's currently doing things, you know, it's not sustainable. It's not going to be good. They can't continue to borrow until infinity. It's not good. Like even, who said, Alan Greenspan, Bernanke, all them people say, you know, it's going to be kind of tough with all this debt, but they need to correct that. And so I'm thinking like, okay, but you're the issuer of the currency that they borrow from you. So it's interconnected. Exactly. So how you keep saying they need to fix it out? You know what I'm saying? So
what are we gonna do?
Yeah, man, that's the part that really trips me out is they try to keep it separate and they want to be private. They don't want to be audited. They want to be a separate part of the government. But then they're the one. Of course, we all know why and because. But they're the crutch underneath the ailing Uncle Sam, who's basically on one leg on life support. They're keeping him alive. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's monetary policy for you, man. But I appreciate your calling. Go ahead.
But like you said, but what? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have another call?
Nope. You got a second. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, what can we do though? You know, you always mention it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like I said, everybody sleep at the wheel, man. Yeah. Nobody realizes the pain until they feel it, until it hurts. Nobody is aware enough to look forward, look ahead to see what's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, well, in driver's ed, when I first got my when driver's ed, they said, you know, a lot of people tend to look directly ahead of the car, but what you would do is look 30.
Yep, look ahead.
And you can steer the car in the correct direction, but you need to look ahead to see what's coming. You feel me? But we've been need to look at tomorrow instead of looking 30 days, 100 days or a year in the future. So, like you always mention, what can we do to get people to realize that they're about to suffer drastically before it comes, you know?
Okay, so that's a good point, man. And so that plays into the whole solution aspect. But the reality is, when there's 320 million Americans in this country alone, not to mention 7 billion, it's all in the same boat. When most people are asleep, I don't know how to go around and just unplug everybody from the matrix to wake up. So it boils down to you being proactive, starting from where you are now, reaching your family members as best you can, and then all you can reach is one person at a time. Your next conversation with somebody, there's only thing you can do directly, and so that's just how it is, man. Because there's always going to be people who just don't want to believe, don't want to accept it until everybody's going to be a believer when it hits. But all you can do is prepare for yourself and then your immediate family and hope that you can create some type of movement in your own neighborhood, in your own community, in your own family, one person at a time. That's why I look at it. And so a part of my next project is going to be an ebook where I'm focusing on retirement. I'm telling millennials, don't be expecting no dang retirement. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to get on I'm going to get in that train of, I want to try to piss people off to say, if baby boomers are about to have issues, what make you think you're going to have it so comfortably 30, 40 years from now? Exactly. So you need to rethink the dollar, but more importantly, the dollar may not be around when it's time for you to collect your retirement. So I'm going to try a different approach. I'm going to try to piss people off and get under people's skin by being irritating with talking about retirement. Because the young people, they just follow trends, don't ask no questions. So I'm about to, basically piss. I'm trying to piss a lot of people off. That's what I'm getting at. So. But hey, man, I appreciate you. I do got a couple calls coming in, but I appreciate you, though.
Sir.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, take care.
You too.
All right.
That was a good one, man. Let me see. Got another calls. Yeah, feel free to call back, and I'll get you on here. But yet, it's one person at a time, man. One person at a time. But make sure you are in the best position that you're capable of being in based upon the information you have, and put the rest in God's hands. I mean, that's all it boils down to, because these type of things have happened before, and from a biblical standpoint, they call them famines. There's always famines, and biblically, there was always a time to prepare before the famine hit. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Mike.
Yep. Hello there. How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey man, it's Q from Chicago. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Q from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Hey man, actually, I just got a quick question for you.
Yep.
Do you know how they say, we can look back and we can see and glean mistakes back in 2008, back from the LTM crisis, back from all these different crises that we've had in the past?
Yeah. Okay. You say.
Is how, based on what we see and know today about what's going on and the things that we know are going to come, what are we going to be telling our children in the future?
Man, what are we going to be telling our kids based upon what we can see today I think it's going to be like it has been in old days when people probably like our great-great-grandparents, which probably a good portion of them are probably not alive still, who went through the Great Depression. But I'd imagine it's the same type of conversation that people had back in the day where you sat around a family meal or something and talked about just what you needed to do and how tough it was to have cut back on all your luxuries and to buckle down, and mom and dad both when they got jobs. And so you're going to be telling them of the tough times, but most people won't be thinking about it from the standpoint of, I saw it coming. Like, most people are going to say, man, I don't know what happened. I thought we was doing good. We had the world reserve currency. Everybody had 2 cars, 3 cars, big houses. And, so that's going to be the narrative. It's going to be, in hindsight, I think I saw it coming, but I didn't. So that's just how things going to play out, I believe. Hello?
All right, and
yeah.
One last question for you, and I'll get off of here.
Yep, go ahead.
One of the things that when I was in Ethiopia that I saw was they had this big, massive, giant stadium. And I asked the people, the locals that were there, why do you have this big, massive, giant stadium and the people are starving? And they said, I don't know. So my last question to you is, how are we going to explain to our kids all the misallocation of resources, all the misallocation of concrete, steel, and everything? How are we going to explain to our kids, hey, we built these big, massive cities with nobody in them and these big, massive towers with nobody in them? How are we going to explain that to them?
Good question once again. And so first thing come to my mind is I am a parent now. And so my kids, they know what I do in relation to this. And so, and when we in the car, I tell my kids now. I tell my kids that right now it's up to you to enjoy this current moment as best you can. Be grateful for what you have or don't have, because it's possible that when you're an adult, it won't be as good as it is now. So my kids know, based upon what I do here, that things aren't what they're going to be in the future. So I've tried my best to make their childhood as fun as just basically as good as it can get, according to what I'm able to provide for my children now, hoping that they can have some stories to tell their children if it is a different type of economy and a different type of world. So basically, if you're a parent, tell them right now, and let them know what's going on. I keep my kids in the loop about what's happening in Venezuela and everything, so that they are well informed and they know the difference between fiat currency and sound money, definitely. So I think I do it now, basically, because I don't know if tomorrow's guaranteed to do it. So, but hey, man, right, I appreciate you calling, man. Thank you.
I'll take it easy.
Yep. Yeah, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, it's like, what are we going to tell our kids? If you got kids, tell them now. Let them know what's going on, man. Like I always explain, price inflation. I always explain anything I can that they'll understand. I try to find a way to make it so they can understand. And so that's just me, man. Hopefully you guys, if you're parents, you do the same thing. And more importantly, make sure your kids understand the importance of getting their weight up. So the sad truth is my boys probably got more weight than a lot of adults out here. So yeah, but yeah, that's what it is, man. So let's get back to the chat a little bit. Missed a couple calls. Feel free to call back in. We'll definitely get you on here. And so what else says? I meant to look. You're definitely not. Look at that. We got here another call. Phone lines are jumping tonight. It's always a good thing. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Right from California. How are you?
I'm doing good, my friend. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. What's on your mind this evening?
Well, what's on my mind is Jerome Powell. I mean, he's saying the economy is great, so we have to ask from whose vantage point. Mm-hmm. You're the average American. You work for a living. You work with your hands. You work with your mind. Mm-hmm. Not a good place to be in right now because jobs are being lost. Everything's already being outsourced. Yeah. Our money is being inflated away. Mm-hmm. So if you're a big wig and you got all your money in stocks, bonds, everything, and you got the money coming in from the banks directly like Goldman Sachs and the big banks, of course, the economy is good for them. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it depends which vantage point where the question is asked. That depends, is the economy good or not, you know?
Yeah, I agree. So,
I mean, I think they're just kind of like, they're going to repeat like, 1929, 1933. Mm-hmm. They put all the suckers, the quote suckers, the little people to buy all the, stocks, bonds. Mm-hmm. Then they crash the system. Then the big wigs come in. They, vacuum it up. They get all the gold, silver, get all the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And they on top on the next, when the stock dies and the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing. If people actually paid attention to how much influence the Fed has had over our economy, every major hiccup that our economy has had, the Fed or the big too big to fail banks have always swept in, because they're the financiers of everything. So they create money out of nothing, and they get people to buy actual tangible goods. Then you miss a payment, they foreclose on your house, then they get a house. You know what I'm saying? That's a great deal for them. So right now, the Federal Reserve is the biggest real estate landowner in the world with all those mortgage-backed securities. So this next go-round, they're going to buy into the stock market, and they're going to own a good portion of probably the Dow, the S&P, and all those other major indexes, because they get the chance that they get to print money out of nowhere. So that's a good deal for them, but it's bad for everybody else.
And you know, honestly, thinking they could even topple the Federal Reserve, and like they wouldn't care, because the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, that's where the dogs are. They're the ones who really control the show right there. You know, so they could topple other sister banks, but as long as the money keeps running with them. Yeah, that's all it's about.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true, man. That's what it is. That's fractional reserve lending, aka the privatization of a national currency. That's what it boils down to. Our money's been privatized into the hands of a small few, and everybody else suffers. But majority of the population don't even know that. So that's a part of how the thing goes. But hey, man,
just remember this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just let me say one last thing.
Yep, go ahead.
Silent weapons for a quiet war. Silent weapons for quiet war. All you need in fourth generation warfare is monetary policy, and manipulate the people's minds. And that's all you need to control people. You don't even need to pull out guns anymore. Silent weapons for a quiet war.
Very good. Good point, man. I like that one. I might use that one. Thank you. All right, have a good night, buddy.
All right, take care.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Yeah, good stuff. Silent weapon for a quiet war. That's a good one, man. Appreciate you calling and sharing that one. So for those that may not actually understand or had a chance to watch what Jerome Powell mentioned, I actually snubbed a little clip that I'm going to play real quick so everybody can actually see and hear directly from his mouth. So take a listen to this.
Overarching goal: to sustain the economic expansion with a strong job market and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. The U.S. economy is in a good place, and we will continue to use our monetary policy tools to help keep it there. The jobs picture continues to be strong, with the unemployment rate near historic lows and with stronger wage gains. Inflation remains near our 2% goal. We continue to expect that the American economy will grow at a solid pace in 2019, although likely slower than the very strong pace of 2018.
We expect the economy will continue to grow in 2019 at a solid pace. Did you hear that? That's his expectations. So if he's data dependent, what data would tell you that the economy is going to grow when you got all these retail stores closing, and you got all this other stuff happening in the world? You think the economy is going to grow in 2019. So right then and there, the first thing that comes to my mind and I heard is that I anticipate the economy to stop growing this year, and that we're going to have an official announcement that we need to reverse course on our monetary policy because our country needs it. Anybody out there want to give me a thumbs up if you agree, or perhaps you might have heard something different. Anything that stood out from that little short clip I played that might give you a reason to disagree or to agree with him or me or whatever, feel free to let me know in the chat, or more importantly, give me a call. We'd love to hear your voice on that. So let me get back to the chat. Missed a couple things here. Uh-oh, Jeff, you got another article here. I'm scared to click it because it might be real news or a real state of the economy, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a chance. And so let's see this article here. Fresh off the press from RTD reporter on the street, Mr. Jeff. Uh-oh. I don't know what this is. I don't want access. I don't want that either. No thanks. So it looks like, Jeff, I won't be able to watch it because I'm not turned off ad blocker. Ad block, sure. All right, let me try this. They want me to cut off my ad blocker and then refresh the page, and I can watch the article. Okay. So this is the article that we just received. It says a minimum wage worker needs 1.5 jobs to afford half the rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in most of the USA. And so it's unfortunate this guy works at Starbucks, and we just saw that Starbucks is about to close 150 stores. I hope it's not my man right here, because I mean, it's good to say that he may not know that Starbucks is about to close, and he's going to have to find another job or another 0.5 of a job in the days ahead. But to give me an idea what's going on, it says many minimum wage workers can't afford a modest 2-bedroom apartment, according to National Low Income Household Annual Report. Come on. It says a national housing wage for a modest 2-bedroom rental apartment is $22 an hour, while the federal minimum wage is $7.25. Man, so even if they got that $15 minimum wage push, according to these statistics, it still wouldn't be enough to afford a modest 2-bedroom rental. It says a low-income worker earning the federal minimum wage would need 3 jobs to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. And so this goes to my visual aid that I had about, you know, the amount of work hours now needed just to have the bare minimum in this country, depending on what your skill set is and what the value you bring into the economy. But this is like on the average, on the majority of people who don't really have a viable skill that's in high demand, will be the ones that are forced to take jobs of this nature, where they're going to have to work 40+ hours just to be, you know, to have minimum living standards. And so, give you an idea what's going on here. It says hourly wage needed to afford a 2-bedroom house. And so, if you're in California, you need $32 an hour. And if you're in Alaska, you need $24. So it looks like the cheapest place is probably Arkansas at $13.84 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom modest apartment. And then New York is $30. So the dark blue is the most expensive. And then what's the light blue? The light blue, so central, Midwest / South. Michigan, $16.85. Yeah, man. So this is real news, real information for most people out there. And so a lot of those individuals are probably people in the retail space that don't even know that their job might be a part of that 20, and it's on the chopping blocks. And so what else we got here in the chat? It says Powell was right. They changed the writing to say everyone who gets a check from the government is employed. He will be employed by the government unemployed. This guy would need 3 full-time jobs to pay his rent. Lost that truth. It says a 2-bedroom is that $25.50 for a 900 square foot. So the monthly rent, Tony, is that the monthly rent for a 2-bedroom, $2,500? Damn, that's Cali too. That's, whew. He would only need to work 122 hours a week, 52 weeks a year just to pay rent. And we're not talking about, what about taxes? So hey, Jeff, did you factor in taxes on that? Or that's after taxes? Wages very low in Arkansas. I don't doubt it. Okay, so $2,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment, 900 square foot in Cali. Mike, everything that is going on is because of peak oil. Look it up. I promise you it will open your eyes. Peak oil. Yeah, so I follow, I stay in tune with some of the oil individuals. I think, what's his name? SRS Rocco, who does all the oil stuff, and Chris Martinson, who focus on peak oil. And so I'm aware just from those guys covering it, and we know how important energy is and everything we do. Without energy, there could be no production. So I hear you on that, my friend. Yeah, man, that's what's going on, man. This is all. So this is the true state of the economy. So when you have Jerome Powell out here mentioning that the U.S. is in a good place, he a damn lie. Because I mean, I'm not sure who or what economy he's talking about, but probably for Wall Street, it's probably good. But for Main Street is suffering. or not doing as well as they would like. Put it like that. Not everyone is in a predicament, but I'm assuming a lot of people could be doing better had we had more stable / less manipulation / less regulation and all those things that, you know, are hindering growth, i.e. debt. But that's what it is. 0 point free energy hidden from the people. Johnny, I do believe that there is an energy source that's in existence that could solve our world's problems, but it's on the back burner. Because if you come out with 0 point energy, that means that it's going to cut into profits, and it's all about profit, not the best for things are not done in the best interest of the people. So we won't find out any 0 point free energy until, you know, that new economy / until they can find a way to manipulate it and to monetize it. Excuse me. I don't expect to hear anything good as far as free. There's not going to be anything free coming in the next couple of years. And so for people to think that universal basic income is going to be free, yeah, wait till you go to the store and the prices go up on you. You're going to find out you can never have enough free income to meet your needs. Yeah, man, that's what it is, man. That is what it is. But people, as always, man, we've been going back and forth. It looks like about 45 minutes. It's been great. Sorry for getting off to a late start. So what I'm going to end up doing is basically just switching something up and using and going right through YouTube as opposed to a little software service system, because everyone got notified, or more people got notified. I got notified, which lets me know that we're back on good standards with YouTube. So obviously they changed some stuff on me, algorithm-wise, literally within the last week, because I went 3 days straight without getting notified. And so other than that, people, if you are still online, don't be afraid to hit the thumbs up button below this video to show your support so more people can find this channel and the information that we talk about here, because so far tonight there was 2 calls in reference to what can we do? What can we do? What are some solutions? The solutions basically boils down to take the information that you are aware of. Everyone is in the alternative media world. You know some things. Have conversations. It's basically be willing to have those tough conversations with loved ones. Start with your family, because those are the people that more likely will be open and receptive to at least hearing what you have to say, and then hit them with some hard truths. As I mentioned, I'm going to work on some stuff to get under people's skin just to make them think. I might have to become that annoying guy that, you know, when you have the overzealous people who just get saved, they want to get everybody saved, so they walk around preaching. And I'm not going to be all doom gloom with it, because I'm very optimistic overall, because God is going to do some great things in this upcoming season. I'm positive of that in my spirit. But with that being the case, we got to be more proactive individually, just one person at a time, man. So my approach and my motto would be, if you guys are interested and want to join in, if you have time, if you feel like this information is valuable, tell a friend. You know, find a way, share a video or share some articles on your own. Or better yet, if you're a creator, let's connect. And I would love to have your articles or your videos or whatnot going through the channel here. So there's a way to reach more people, but it's going to start with just one person having one tough conversation. And that's how we can actually begin to wake more people up. So that's my mission. That's my goal for this year, especially as I get into solutions. And other than that, people, it's been safe. It's been real. Don't forget us a thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video, don't be afraid to share it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. And so here in Michigan, we're having some really cold days here. So everything is shut down. So I might end up having a chance to stream tomorrow afternoon. So probably can get a 2-a-day in. But with that being the case, people, it's been a blessing to have you guys on. Be safe, be blessed. I'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.